Somewhere in the middle of my update 1.6 SMG Best in Slot Optimization Guide, me and my family contracted walking pneumonia, and I lost a great deal of energy and focus. So today, I wanted to revisit a certain area of that build guide and provide a bit more clarification and better explanation for my choices. What's going on, agents? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and first things first, I wanted to thank all of you that have watched my SMG Best in Slot video, commented on that video, and have newly subbed my channel. Now, I am quite proud of that particular video, and as well scripted as it was, there was one particular section that was really too brief, and I'm going to call it what it was. It was total shit. Posted on the screen now is a timestamp to the different sections I will be covering in this video, as it centers around selecting the best SMG weapon talents for both PvE and PvP. Without wasting any more time, let's jump right back into this best SMG weapon talents section and get a lot more in depth into this topic than I was able to in the original video. So, what I have done is prepared a list of possible weapon talents that should be considered for an SMG for either PvE, which I mostly play, and PvP. This is an area where that particular section of the video really lost its way, so to speak, and I have received numerous comments telling me that my weapon talents were completely wrong and that my opinions were total shit. More on that in a bit, but let's jump right back into this list. As you can see, I have taken the liberty of totally removing talents like Dominant or Commanding for obvious reasons, and other talents that simply do not apply to SMGs. Since we are going for a balanced but damage-heavy build, I will go ahead and remove any talent that is tied to weapon handling or signature skills resource gains. SMGs are already the easiest handling weapons in the game, and if you really wanted to, you could roll all of your gear mods for a maximum of 20% signature resource gains. I don't know why you would want to do this, but hey, to each their own. You will also notice that I have not included the Ambusher and Carefree SMG talents, as they are specific to the respective weapons, the UMP-45 and Tommy Gun, and neither of those SMGs will be used in this build. Of the 18 SMG weapon talents that are still left, I'm going to divide these into the following categories: Damage, Critical, Health, Skills, and finally PvE and Chance, and I'm going to place these talents into their respective categories. Instantly diving right into the damage category for SMG weapon talents, and let's start with Brutal. Brutal does grant a flat 12% headshot damage for both PvP and PvE, but for our SMG build, Brutal would be best suited for face tanking NPCs in conjunction with the defense gear set. Destructive has been set at a 0.42% for PvP, really rendering it no longer necessary, but still grants you a 15% damage boost while firing at an NPC's armor, but it is instantly deactivated once the armor has been broken. Still, for PvE-centered agents, Destructive is quite useful when attempting max level difficulty in-game missions. Prepared is available for an SMG, but only activates once you are more than 30 meters from your target, and since SMGs operate in the 13 to 19 meter range, this weapon talent is completely useless. Unforgiving does add a potential 25% to your damage output, but only once you have reached your third and final health bar, and this 25% damage gain is the single highest gain for any of our SMG weapon talents. And finally, we have arrived at Responsive, that requires that you be within 10 meters of your target to activate the damage increase of 10%. Since SMGs are best used in close quarters combat and staying within that 10 meter range is optimal for damage delivery, Responsive is a solid choice. So here is how I would divide up this damage category. If you primarily play PvE, go for Responsive and Destructive. If you primarily play PvP, look towards Unforgiving and Responsive. Next up is the Critical category, and this really does come down to Deadly and every other crit-based weapon talent. Adept, Fierce, and Vicious are all tied to critical hit chance, and if you watched my SMG Optimized Build guide, you know that we already have many more sources of critical hit chance available to us through our gear, pulse, and weapon mods in order to hit the critical hit chance cap of 60%. Hurried could be of some interest to players looking to increase their burst damage potential, as the decreased reload speeds can add up to 25% more burst damage. However, all of these crit-based weapon talents fall short of what Deadly can do for you. A 15% increase to your critical hit damage is simply too high a percentage gain to overlook, especially now that the SMG native talent has been switched back to chance instead of damage. So, for both PvE and PvP, Deadly is the best crit-based talent available for our SMG weapon talents. The health talents are next up, and for our optimized SMG build, healing talents in place of damage talents are not required, as we can roll HP on kill on our gear, and we do have self-heal and med station available as skills. However, let's quickly take a look at these to find out which is the most efficient. Sustain grants you 6% health on kill, and if our agent has a health stat of 300,000, I know that's super tanky, Sustained would grant us 18,000 health every time we kill an enemy. If we land critical hits of say 55,000 on an enemy, Self-Preserved would grant us 1,650 healing each time. And finally, using the same example of that super tanky player with 300,000 health, Predatory would give us a health gain of 5,250 per second over 20 seconds. If I have no other alternative and have already used my weapon recalibration, this is how I would place these healing weapon talents. Sustained and Predatory would be best suited for PvE, while Self-Preserved would be best suited for PvP. Skills and skill power are at the heart of the meta for Update 1.6, and using skills more efficiently is absolutely imperative to staying alive in combat. Determined reduces skill cooldowns by 7.5% after killing a target, but we can obtain skill haste on our body armor, gloves, and holster, and we can even roll 2 to 3% on our gear mods. Hell, we could even equip 2 pieces of Tactician's Authority for 10% skill haste. Talented does give you a nice boost to skill power, but this weapon talent is not ideal for our optimized SMG build and would work better for a skill power build. Competent would work well with our SMG build, as a flat 10% damage bonus just for using a skill is too strong to overlook. Paired with Pulse, we would boost our weapon damage by at least 30% when both are active. Both PvP and PvP players would benefit from having Competent on their SMG. We have reached our final weapon talent category, and Ferocious can be useful when engaging elite and named NPCs, but using one of our valuable weapon talent slots for this conditional 10% bonus is not a wise choice for our optimized SMG build. If all you were planning on doing was boss farming, I could see some merit to this talent. Otherwise, roll damage versus elites onto your knee pads, or just purchase a pecan and forgo this talent. Meticulous is tied to the RNG system, as killing a target has a 25% chance to instantly refill our magazine. Not being able to consistently count on the Meticulous talent activating takes it out of the running for our optimized SMG build. So here's a quick recap of all of these SMG weapon talents, bringing us up to this final conclusion. For a 3-weapon talent SMG optimized build centered on PvE, your talents should be Responsive, Destructive, and Deadly. If you have invested in enemy armor damage on your gear pieces, replace Destructive with Competent. If you are having problems with survivability, you could go with this build, Responsive, Predatory, and Deadly. Now, if your main focus is PvP, go damage heavy by selecting Responsive, Unforgiving, and Deadly. Competent can be interchangeable with this PvP build and mixed in to your taste. For an Alpha Bridge build for PvE, you should select the Responsive, Destructive, Deadly, and Competent talents. Best for an Alpha Bridge PvP build are Responsive, Unforgiving, Deadly, and Competent. Well, there you go, agents. The best SMG weapon talents for our optimized SMG build for Update 1.6 done properly, the way I should have done it in my original SMG optimization guide. I really appreciate your overwhelming praise and feedback you have been showing that video, and I look forward to corresponding and debating with you in the comment section below over my weapon talent selections. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts on my SMG Best in Slot Weapon Talents video. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. In addition, if you could take the time to rate the video with a huge thumbs up, it would be greatly appreciated. If you want some more LtBuzzLitebeer and my Division content in your life, make sure to pound that sub button and follow me on Twitter at LtBuzzLitebeer. If you have questions about any weapon in the Division, look no further than my comprehensive weapon review playlist to answer any and all of your questions. And remember, for my channel, likes, comments, subs are loved. Until my next The Division video, this has been LtBuzzLitebeer saying peace out.